Good morning, listeners. Thank you for tuning in to 97.9 The Mead Hall. I'm B-Money, and I'm here with T-Train coming at you this beautiful morning. How you doing today, Thor?
I'll be doing great on Thursday, but not a moment sooner.
That's both unfortunate and strange. Why, exactly?
It's Thursday, Nimrod.
Moving on, the management here has asked us to make a small request of our valued listeners. While it is true that we both share names with rather popular gods, that does not mean that you should make sacrifices outside of our studio.
For the love of the gods, please stop. The custodial staff has begun to strike, and charges have been brought against us at the All Thing for the excessive bloodstains on the sidewalk outside.
We're just trying to prevent a feud with Olaf, head of custodial services in our building. He's a scary dude. Well, in our first story today, spring has finally sprung after 3 long years of winter. People have become worried the fabled Ragnarok is finally upon us, but I'm not convinced. Climate change is a strange...
Climate change? Really? You're telling me the solar eclipse I plan on spending the better part of my afternoon screaming at?
Which no one told you to do.
Do you want Ragnarok to begin? My screaming is the only thing holding back the apocalypse.
And there's no evidence that that is true.
You know what? I'll wager your beard against mine that today marks the beginning of the end. By Odin's beard, you'll be baby-faced before the day's over.
Deal. Get ready to eat your words. But moving on, before a full-on feud breaks out in our studio, rating season is back upon us. It's been a struggle these last few years, but we came out of it. Earl Trigby is yet to confirm where we will be raiding, but my hopes are in England. I went there on raids about 6 summers ago. There was some good loot for us. Thor, what do you think?
You know me, B-Money. I'm always in the mood for booty.
Excuse me?
Booty. Treasure. What did you think I meant?
Not that. What are your opinions on where we will be raiding?
Personally, I'd love to see what booty France has to offer, but I could settle for England as well.
You know, for some reason, constantly referring to treasure as booty makes me a little uncomfortable.
What can I say? My mother named me after the people's champion, and you know what all people love? Treasure, B-Money, treasure.
Listeners, send in your mail detailing where you'd like to go raiding, and tomorrow we'll see if we can't read some of it on the air.
Also, please weigh in on if you prefer referring to treasure as booty, and we will discuss the results as well.
No one is asking you to do that, though. But, do you know what time it is? Time for the Blood Feud Report. Thor, start us off with the ongoing feud between Jarl and Gunnar.
Well, what can I say? Nothing has changed. Blood is still being shed on both sides, and in the gallons. Silver is being exchanged back and forth and back and forth. So much it's becoming hard to follow. Really, they just need to get this over with and come to an agreement, because at this point, this feud is plain tiring. Any thoughts, B-Money?
Frankly, this is one of the dumber feuds we've come across. I mean, their hearts even really aren't in it. You see them at the assembly and they're just chumming it up. If you're gonna feud, at least commit.
Well said, my mistletoe-fearing friend. Well said.
I reiterate, the names are simply a coincidence. Please don't encourage our listeners. And on to our next feud. It seems Ivan Broadshoulders and Eric Bushy Brows have begun a bloody conflict over which of the two is the more attractive. What started as a simple love triangle has now claimed around a dozen lives, resulted in the burning of a barn, and does not seem to be letting up. I don't think that even the girl is an important part of this anymore. They just want to fight for the sake of fighting. People are begging the two to simply settle it the old-fashioned way. Pose off.
A risky way to solve things, but I do remember the pose-off between Einir Longlocks and Alfar Thickarms. It ended things quickly, but Einir never did recover. Unfortunately, that is all we are liberated to say on air. On to this morning's final feud. It seems that Morel Jetmunderson and Laugi Jetmunderson are back at it again. They can't decide how their late father's property will be divided, and have taken to moving a large stone given to them by their uncle Husafel to mark where their inheritance lies. In recent days, the two brothers have gathered quite a large audience to watch the spectacle. Rumors had surfaced that the stone weighs around 400 pounds.
That's a big rock, but why? We have methods of determining property lines legally, and they know this, right?
It doesn't look like they care, and I, for one, do not want to tell them otherwise.
I can't blame you. But, speaking of physical exertion, let's go to a quick update on all things sports. T-Train, take it away.
In wrestling news, Thorstein the White is conquering the competition yet again. This comes at a surprise after his season-ending injury last harvest.
Yeah, I saw that. Frankly, I didn't think he'd ever be back in the scene. Can ankles even turn like that normally?
I'd have to agree with you there, and no, they never do without shattering. Although he's really been tearing up the competition, even shattering a few ankles of his own. So far this season, he is 5-1. That one loss was nasty. Thorstein really held his own against Berserker, but unfortunately, the shield biter took him right back out of the wrestling scene.
That does raise a good question, actually. Should Berserkers be allowed to compete in wrestling events? Personally, I don't think so, due to their innate physical superiority. Whether or not they have a shield to bite is irrelevant. Their performance is boosted by default. In archery news, Thorwald the Swift has really been tearing things up. He's hit the targets more accurately than any other competitor.
Could you potentially be a bit more descriptive on what you mean?
I would love to, but I do not understand the way that archery is scored at all, so I can really only say that he's been hitting the targets the best, and I can only say that with certainty because of the interns who understand this stuff and went to the competitions.
Since when do we even hire interns?
Last summer we started the program. Management tried to keep us in the dark, so we couldn't abuse them. Besides, they all quit except one, a younger lad named Loki, who is coincidentally named after a god as well.
Huh. I'll have to keep an eye out for this Loki kid. I wonder if he will follow with the trends, as local youth have been following in the footsteps of Gretier Asmunderson, let's just call him Gretier, by swimming the channel to Drang Island in the freezing waters. One promising lad by the name of Thorborn the Slim has been able to swim open waters at an astounding speed.
I've heard of him. Do you know if it was true that he was born 4 years later than normal?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's physically impossible.
Did your mother ever tell you the story of the Volsungs? 6 years in utero, my man.
I don't know how to respond to that.
They never do.
I think it's time we moved on to the section we've all been dying to discuss.
The ball and stick game. The Giants have taken a commanding lead in the preseason, with their offense really picking up in the third half. I'm interested to see what happens with their star stick wielder Sigburg Longarms. His long arms give him a commanding advantage where reach is concerned.
I myself am much more interested in Light Elf's lookout Garpor Longleg's running abilities. His speed and ability to rush over the other players has proved him to be a very formidable player on the field.
I've heard he might actually go to the Giants, a trade that could spell disaster for the Light Elves. If you remember, the Light Elves embarrassed the Dark Elves so badly last season that the Dark Elves just aren't returning, and given the afternoon run-round incident, I can't blame them. After losing Dalbert Longfingers to the Dwarves, the Light Elves are down a solid chaser, and losing Garper might push things over the edge.
I myself can't see Garper playing alongside Sigurberg. They've been in the middle of a feud debating whether long arms or long legs provides a superior advantage when playing the ball and stick game.
Regardless, I'm really interested to see what our new team, the Fire Giants, will be doing this season. Their blatant name theft might prove to be intimidating towards the regular Giants, and from what our intern Loki has said from viewing their practices, their axe game is strong. With star athlete Egil Skallagrimsson, they might be able to hack through any defenders that stand in their way. Gods help the defense if they dare insult that mountain of a man.
Are the rumors true that at the mere age of 7, he split an opposing defender's skull straight through the teeth over a cheating penalty?
That is correct. As far as I can tell, the penalty call was not unfounded, but the reaction was potentially over the top. I am not, of course, disagreeing with his actions, nor am I insulting him. I condone everything he has done, and shall now pray he does not come after me.
On that terrifyingly gory note, time for a short break and a word from our sponsors.
Have you ever been out raiding and realized that all the blood on your axe has affected your grip? Well, let me tell you, when you're in the heart of battle, losing your grip is one thing you just can't afford. But boy oh boy, do we have the product for you. With Overtrip's no-slip axe grip, you can make sure that your hand won't waver in the heat of battle. With its patented design, not only does it ensure a strong grip even after hours of raiding, it can help relieve tension in your hand with its ergonomic molding. I didn't even realize how tired my hand would get during a raid, but with Overtrip's no-slip axe grip, I can keep raiding for hours. Overtrip's no-slip axe grip. Do a flip. And we are back with 97.9 The Mead Hall. After an emergency convening of the All Thing, we came along in the 97.9 Mobile Mead Mobile to bring you the latest news as the folk of Iceland try to figure out what to do now that Fimbulvinter has ended.
You mock my beliefs and my dedicated daily screaming that has held back Ragnarok for the past 3 years. After Fenrir has finished devouring our father Odin, he will be coming for you. Again, our names are just a coincidence and are not any of the gods.
I can't decide if I want to ask you why you've been screaming every day for 3 years, remind the listeners to not sacrifice things in front of our station, or to simply move on. Nope, actually, easy decision, moving on. Things have been crazy at the All Thing today, and the two primary topics on people's minds have been, where are we raiding, and is this Ragnarok? While the latter may take days for us to truly learn, the former has just been handed to me by intern Loki. Thank you, Loki. Now, Thor, drum roll, please. And France. A little surprising, if I'm being honest. I thought for sure Earl Trigby would want to go to England and stick it to the Saxons. Oh, well.
As far as news on Ragnarok goes, we have confirmation the Seer will have more on that for us at the end of today's broadcast. Sorry about that, folks.
And it looks like we also have death tolls from the winter. And, well, things are looking grim. Do you want to read the report, Thor?
Wow. Okay, why don't you take this one?
Oh, you're just going to throw me under the bus? Fine, I'll remember this one. Well, it says that... What's this? Oh, thanks, Loki. Well, dear listeners, it seems that in some breaking news, I hope that you don't have any sheep on Drang Isle, and if so, you might not have many up there much longer.
Would you care to elaborate on that a little bit, B-Money?
Well, it seems in a report handed me by Loki just now, a disgruntled local man, upset with the time it has taken the Seer to make predictions for Ragnarok, has taken to lifting the sheep grazing on Drang Isle and, well, throw them off.
Throwing them off the island?
That is correct, T-Train. He is reportedly picking up the sheep, lifting them over his head, and throwing them off the island, all while screaming profanities about the Seer and his mother. It is unknown if the owners of the sheep will take action, or if this will show up in tomorrow's Blood Feud report.
If there even is a tomorrow.
You know what? I've had it with your defeatist attitude. Let's march on down to the Seer and get a statement directly from him about all of this. Then we can definitively say which of us is right. Listeners, this may seem a bit abrupt, but we're going to take an impromptu commercial break while T-Train and I go corner the speaker. Hopefully we will come back with good news. T-Train, I find myself wishing more and more frequently that I had something to chew on while I relax after a day of raiding.
I'm glad you mentioned that, B-Money, because it's time for today's final sponsor. Have you ever wanted to not only smell the ocean breeze, but taste it too? Then Dulce is the next snack to satisfy all your fishy, salty snacking needs. What could be a better refreshing snack than dried seaweed for your next raiding adventure? Dulce, when you want to taste the ocean, and nothing else, for like an hour.
And we are back from the Seer, and we have confirmation, without a doubt, that Ragnarok is not happening. Put the weapons down, stop eating the sheep, and let's enjoy the warm weather. And, if memory serves, you bet your beard on this one, old buddy, old pal.
No, I think you're mistaken on that.
Loki, could you grab me a pair of shears? We're gonna have a good time here in a second. Well, Thor, I take it you have about 30 seconds before Loki finds a good pair of shears. Does your beard have any last words, metaphorically speaking?
Piss off! Don't you come near my beard, you non-believer. Ragnarok is happening.
Well then. Thank you, Loki. Let's get rocking and rolling. Remind me to put in a good word with management about a raise. You're unpaid? Well, Loki, just remind me to buy you lunch or something, I guess. Come here, Thor. What's the matter? Scared?
I hate to say I told you so, but, take a look outside.
Is that a snake? No, that's a huge serpent.
Yeah, I would say it is.
Well, folks, it looks like I was 100% wrong, and Ragnarok is in fact happening. While I would love to stay in the way of what appears to be Jormungandr's path of destruction, I am going to run very, very far away from where I am now and try to hide. And frankly, I suggest you do the same. We will try to come to you tomorrow morning, but as you can probably guess, we can make no promises. Dear listeners, it has been an honor, and thank you for tuning in to 97.9 The Mead Hall.
Hey, Loki, you still got those shears?